The Conjuring. Have you seen The Conjuring 3 yet?
Uh, the Conjuring, the devil made me poo it. That's what I call that one.
Oh yeah? Have you
Yeah,
seen it yet though?
okay. So it's for the people who have seen the other films.
Uh-huh.
You know one thing off the bat: it does not have James Wan directing this one. That's the big issue with this movie. Is the first movie, there's a lot of atmosphere. You feel every scare. You feel for the characters. The camera work in the first movies, the first two, put you in this perspective of being there with those characters, being in the house. This one's it's just flat. There's no tension. There's no atmosphere with it. It's just a blockbuster Hollywood movie pushed out by producers to get another dollar in. I don't think there's anything special with it at all. I didn't. I was very bored. It was very forgettable.
I mean, yeah, I something that I think that we really see in the third film. What I will say good about it is that Ed and Lorraine Warren, the story, the Conjuring universe as a whole, something that they're starting to do very well. Now that we're getting really deep into the meat of it, like we've had multiple films now for the Conjuring, we've had multiple spin-offs. So I think that this time they were really trying to sell the relationship because we really get those like sweet moments between Ed and Lorraine Warren. It's still there. Like, the acting between the two of them is, I think, even getting better, and that's something that's really interesting to me because whenever I was watching The Conjuring, the devil made me do it or poo it. Um, the entire time I was watching it, and I was saying, this isn't going well. Like it was very much on. It was reminiscent to me of Annabelle, the very first adaptation of Annabelle, and The Nun. It seemed like it was going to that level. But the one thing I will say, it felt like Ed and Lorraine Warren, their characters were like written stronger than ever. I feel like they were like really deep rooted in like the relationship with one another. You really felt like the acting between the two of them, the tension that it had, and that love for each other was really there. I think stronger than ever before. And you have that
I
relationship.
didn't feel that.
You didn't feel it? Well, see, that's the thing.
No.
The writing, the reason I think a lot of people don't feel it, and I will agree with you. I didn't really feel it that much either. But the actual story itself was written, I think, so poorly. The writing itself was just so trite. I would say it's just not. It wasn't good enough. The writing wasn't strong enough. But I think that what they were trying to do was really to get that relationship going in there. And I saw what they were trying to do with it. And I do respect the fact that they have that tighter relationship as the story goes on in the Conjuring universe.
I I think the reason you get that feeling is because they're the center of the story this time around. And with one and two, you're focused on the other family that's living in those houses, and it's just the Ed and Lorraine character is kind of like the secondary characters. And with this one, they are literally the main focus point of the entire story.
Yeah,
So you get more screen time with them. That might be why you feel that way. I don't know, but I didn't get. It felt their acting was good, but it still felt flat to me.
yeah. I mean, the guy directing it directed The Curse of La Llorona. The moment they had him slated to be the director, I know James Wan had moved on, took a break from horror. I knew for a fact that this was not going to be the same the same Conjuring that we all grew to love. And that's something that I really wish that we would get. I wish we get another James Wan just to finish out. I hope that this isn't the last one by any means because it definitely was on a strong note. And overall, I mean, I'm excited to see if they continue on with this where it goes. But the subject matter was really interesting. Like I don't like The Conjuring, and The Conjuring 2 was great. But the thing is that they chose a case file from the Warrens. That was a great idea. Like this was like the only court case known as demonic possession. They actually said, this guy, what was his name, Arnie, is possessed. Like he's possessed. He's a murderer, but he's demonic possession. So they
Yeah, but
had
that's the problem. They took that idea. They said, we have an idea where somebody was possessed. They put it in the court system for the court to rule that a yes or a no. And then somebody said, well, what else do we need to make this movie? They said, nothing. That's it. Go with that. Don't worry about anything else. That's the selling point.
Well, I mean and I think that really it was for marketing mostly too, because they really was pushing the fact that it was a real court case. Because think about The Conjuring 2. It's Ed and Lorraine Warren. It's being pushed as a true story based on a true story based on real case files. So I think when they were looking at where can we go next with it, they were like, let's just push that case, just push it out there, throw that case out there.
No, what's happening right now in the real world are court cases from like the George Floyd, all the riots, all the stuff like that. So the only reason they made that one because it had court cases in it. They knew people were invested into what the court system did. So they chose that idea and that's it. And that pisses me off even more thinking about
it. Well, I mean, it sucks. It just really sucks that that's what we get in the long run. But there is actually, I had never watched it before. I never heard of it before. So past The Conjuring, which I don't think I could recommend. I would recommend it to people that has invested themselves in the series. Of course, if you're a horror fan, you're gonna see it. Like that's one way or another. You're gonna watch The Conjuring 3, and everybody I feel like will have the same gripes as we do with it. And hopefully, the studio will actually take notes and move back into its original roots next time. But something that's really interesting is that there was a movie come up from The Conjuring 3. I had never heard of before. It was straight to TV. And it's available on YouTube, the whole entire
it.
thing.
Starring,
What?
are you talking about the movie starring Kevin Bacon?
Yes. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it, but yes, I'm more intrigued on finding that movie and watching it than anything related to The Conjuring.
No, you don't want to. I'm telling you, it's called The Demon Murder Case. It's from 1983, starring Kevin Bacon. It talks about the entire case. It's more so focused on the court itself. Like, when we watch The Conjuring 3, we get those cheap scares. We get those moments where like, it seems very jump scare and manufactured. One good thing about the Demon Murder Case is the fact that it really focuses more on the actual court, like the actual court case, it being ruled on demonic possession. But I will say it's so excruciatingly slow and poorly paced that 30 minutes in, I was trying my hardest not to fall asleep or just completely just give up on the entire thing altogether. It's just very slow moving. It doesn't have much production value. Sexy Kevin Bacon is just not working in it at all. It's just something. It's just something. It's not scary. There wasn't really horror, and I mean, it's a TV movie, so obviously on TV they had a lot of censorship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what we're dealing with is the fact that it's just not really focused on the scares. It's not really focused on the horror aspect. It's more focused on the court case. And I think that the problem is that if The Conjuring 3 was able to focus more on the horror aspects, and if the Demon Murder Case was able to focus more on the court case aspects, why couldn't they have brought the two together and made like a perfect film that they could have made all together? Because both films had like the things that it needed. If we just got them to come together, we would have a good film. So sadly, both of them fell flat. I didn't finish the Demon Murder Case. I got like 45, 50 minutes into it and gave up on it. But I thought it was interesting to see a different side to Arnie. I know we learned that he spent like 5 years in like prison and all that kind of stuff. So like you get to see him go through it more. So I mean, it's free on YouTube. You could try to make it through it, but I didn't.
Yeah.